Hello and welcome. Let me. Yay! And we are live. Hello and welcome to the Female Expansionist Collective. We have the beautiful Jenni Nowlin with us today, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself. I am so excited for today's episode, and I just know there's going to be so many golden nuggets within the conversations that we have. It's just like, yay. So let us know, who are you? What is it that you do? Am I echoing that?
Thank you. So as you said, my name is Jenni Nowlin, and I am a woman who wears many hats. I am a coach. I coach mindset and manifestation. I have a podcast. I have a journal I've published. I teach courses. I'm also a realtor, a property manager. I have an amazing daughter who I'm now doing stay-at-home schooling also, or learning all of the wonderful things. And I am just a lover of learning, of personal development, of growing, and of course expanding. So I'm so excited for this.
I love that. I do. And I apologize if I keep putting myself on mute. I've got the washing machine going and it's on that, when the cycle gets really loud. So I just don't want to interrupt you or anything, but wow, how do you fit all of that in? That is so amazing.
Honestly, I really am just figuring that out myself, because since COVID, I've had so many changes. Like before, I really had a structured 9-to-5 job. And because of COVID, I've been blessed with being able to do most of my job at home. Like I really have to go to the office twice a week. So I've really been like refiguring out my life and my schedule. And the thing that has been the most helpful for me is just setting alarms. Like if I don't have it written down in my planner and have an alarm for it, I'll forget it. Like I need to have a plan for my plan for that plan.
I love that. And I have so many alarms as well. It's just a way for me to, because there's so many things, and especially as a mom, I'm sure you'll be able to agree with me, on top of home learning, on top of homeschooling, keeping on top of the housework and making sure that we're doing the things that light us up as well and make us feel good. If you see mine, they probably go off about every 15-20 minutes. And I literally have each one as if to give me that task. So it is a really good productive tool that I use as well. And I absolutely love it. I love that you've mentioned that. So what does the term expansion mean to you?
I love this question. And the term expansion to me really means just forever growing and forever. It's like, I heard this, and I think it was a course Melanie on Layer said, and it was like a mountain with no peak. And like, that's what I feel like life is. It's like, it's always expanding. It's always growing. We're always changing, and we may not know what the next thing is, but we just welcome it with open arms, and we're like here for it, and just growing and expanding and learning and knowing that you're on the right path, and that no matter if it feels hard or easy, that that life is happening for you, and that whatever you're going through, it's what you're meant to go through.
I love that. I really do. And it's very, very similar to how I kind of describe expansion as well. And I just love, I mentioned a couple of episodes back now about that same term. And I heard the same, I can't remember what training it was on or what live it was on, but it really resonated with me at the same time, because what I was actually doing is each time I reached to my goals, I kind of moved on to the next goal. And I was like, when I thought of it like there's no peak to the mountain, I took a lot of stress off myself, a lot of kind of pressure to say I have to get this done by X amount of time or this. It's kind of in my head now, it's like, well, this is the journey, and it's gonna, each step I take, and obviously you need to keep leading yourself forward, but each step we take is gonna keep on expanding. And I love how you brought that in. I really do. So Jen, tell us, take yourself back 5 years for me. Did you envision being where you are now in your life and business and just all of the things 5 years
ago? Girl, No, like 5 years ago, I was barely beginning my personal development journey, and I literally had no idea who I was. I did whatever I thought other people expected of me. Like, that's who I was. I was a yes girl. I put myself in all of these boxes, and I'm barely coming out of these boxes of like who I thought I should be, who I thought other people wanted me to be, not even that they thought I should be, but who I thought they wanted me to be.
Yeah.
And like 5 years ago, I honestly, I was depressed. I hated myself. I hated my body. I hated, like, I had a good marriage, but I just wasn't happy in all of the aspects of my life. And it was like personal development that really, like, it started about 5 years ago. And that was such a game changer for me, of being able to find who I am and to find happiness and to learn that I'm the person that's in control. And that if I'm not happy, I'm the person that gets to change that. Nobody else. Like, I can't expect my husband to make me happy. I can't expect my job to make me happy. It's on me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes can be quite difficult for that realization, can't it? And even though we feel we are doing the best thing, when we take full responsibility, it absolutely changes. I'm really curious because I know we've had this discussion briefly in the past, but what was it that turned the tables for you? Did you read a book? Was there an influencer? What was it that got you into personal development?
So I actually used to be a Beachbody coach, and Beachbody, they really preach personal development, 10 minutes a day. And I, like, when I first started, like, I had nobody in my family did personal development. I had no idea. Like, I saw help books were for something that somebody had something wrong. And so they preached that, and I didn't do it for probably the first 6 months. And then somebody was like, hey, you should listen to a podcast. And I'm like, I don't even know what a podcast is. Like, I literally have an iPhone and I had an app on there and I didn't know what it was. And so I just started listening to podcasts, and I was recommended a couple, and it was like Brendan Burchard, Shailene Johnson, and Brendan Burchard honestly was a game changer for me. His podcasts were short, sweet, and it was like life changing. And then it kind of went from there. But that was the first catalyst that actually had me read The Secret. So personal development was podcasts, and then I came into The Secret, which was kind of like a
and that's when everything blew up for you. I love that as well. And it actually takes me back, because there was times before I started looking, and there's so many labels, and I don't want to be coming into labels, but there's like the new age world, there's like the law of attraction, all this type of thing. And before I actually got to that point, and I've noticed this with so many people, is that we go through that self-development, we go through that kind of door to open self-development, and then we come across it, and it's only when we've done that that all this kind of starts making sense. Would you agree with that? Yes,
absolutely. It's like another journey that never ends, but it's like once you open that door, you can't go back, and it really is magic.
It's fun, isn't it? It is. It's real good fun, and it definitely it sets my heart on fire. I know it sets yours on, because that is what everything is that you're building, and what you do now is all around that. But before I start taking it into a different direction, we all have reasons for why we do something. What dreams and goals have inspired you to succeed? Hello.
Girl, you need to put on some clothes.
Hey, gorgeous.
Honestly, the dreams that really have inspired me is just being able to let this little girl know that she can be and do anything, even though, like, my parents, they didn't preach like personal development or anything like that. My mom always told me, like, you can be anything, you can do anything. And I think having that, like, I want to be that, not just for my daughter, but for other people. Like, I've always been like a cheerleader. Like, you can do it. And I love being able to open other people's eyes to that, and know that the universe is limitless and they can do anything they want. And I think that once you learn that, it's mind blowing, but also there's just so much magic in it.
I love that. And what perfect timing to just come in at that question when everything is, I wouldn't say everything, obviously it all comes together, but a big part for me as well is obviously to unlearn those habits that we've learned, to unlearn the conditioning, to unlearn the chains that kind of hold us back. And if I can pass that down to my children and know that their children then will pass that down to their children and their children, and do my best in the best way that I can, then I truly feel that this is all worthwhile. It is all worthwhile to have your own children or anybody around you, not just children, but obviously that's where we're kind of focused right this second, but to bring positivity and to help people to feel good, to feel better, and to truly live life feeling so confident and so good. What better gift can you give anybody? Not to mention your own children. It's
definitely.
Yeah, so I know I've touched on it briefly. It's all right. I know we touched on it briefly. Do you
No,
wanna,
you're good.
Are you all right?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Who's been the person that's influenced you the most on the journey?
You know, it's probably the person that it's been the most up and down, but it's my mom, because she has really done this journey with me. And we like butt heads like no other, but a lot of it is because we're so alike, and we're both, just open-minded and want better and know that everything is limitless. So I would definitely say her, because she's always been the person that's, you can do anything. And like, if I start, meditating, she's like, oh, I'm going to do this. Or we start doing stuff at the same time, but we don't know it. And then we talk and we're like, oh, I've been doing that. So I love that. And I love that she's really influenced a lot of that.
I love that as well. And I wish I had a kind of, it's like a self-development buddy, isn't it? Like you said, even though you don't know that you're doing it, there is somebody there who is, you can have them open discussions, you can be, have them conversations that, for me, a lot of people, if I start talking, they look at me like I'm some sort of weirdo, which is absolutely fine, which is, but I'm not there to kind of prove my point to anyone. It's a case of, this is what I believe, and that's that. And I just absolutely love that. And I love how that must be so, like, on an emotional level, that just must be so nice. And nice isn't the word I'm looking for. I can't really picture the word that I'm looking for, but wow. So do you like challenge each other to do certain things, or is it more just kind of learn from each other and give each other experience? I'm quite curious. I love it.
Honestly, both. Like, a lot of times we are always sending each other back and forth. Like, my mom's very spiritual, so she sends me in the morning. She does like a meditation and prayer routine, and so she'll send me like, oh, I read this, I think you'll love that, or this. And we don't really like challenge each other, but we share a lot what we're doing. And she's one of those people that I feel like, even a lot of this stuff, when you first get into personal development and law of attraction and all of this stuff, like, some people, if you're not in it, it's kind of weird. Like, they're like, that's like woo woo, they don't get it. Yeah. And so it's nice to have somebody to be like, I am doing this or this, and they understand. So
yeah, definitely. And I suppose it keeps you both going as well, especially on those days where it gets a little bit harder, and where it's just that pick me up, isn't it? To have that, that's somebody there. And I love that. I really do. I think that's amazing. So congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
What's been the most important leadership lesson that you've learned, and how have you overcome it?
The most important leadership lesson. Honestly, I really think it's learning to lead yourself first, and to not just lead yourself first, but to also have like a leader, a coach, a buddy, somebody that you can talk to about. Because for me, a lot of times when I just say what I'm struggling with, or say what's on my mind to somebody else, the answer comes to me. But if I just keep it in my own head, it's like a spaghetti bowl. Like, it's like all mixed up. But like, whenever you start, telling somebody, it like pulls it out and it like kind of like starts to make sense. So I really think it's, leading yourself through things, but also having people that are like-minded that you can talk to about things.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. With the amount of times I go into my groups or I go to message my coach or in one of my programs, the amount of times me just typing it out as if to say, what would you do in this situation? I get the answer straight away. And I find that so powerful. And as well, leading yourself. And this is something that is it's been something that I've been working on, taking more radical responsibility for myself. But even if we have a coach, even if we have a therapist, even if we have a doctor or, a teacher, a trainer, anybody, whatever, label they have, even if we have them, the only way we're going to see change, the only way we're going to see transformation is by doing it ourselves. They are there to guide us and to support us, but not there to actually take it away for us. And it took me a while to understand that. For a few years, when I was struggling and I was going through the help, I used to kind of put all my power in somebody else's control, and they were like, oh, you've got this problem and it's because you're thinking in a certain way or you're feeling in a certain way and you must change this. And I just found the more I took responsibility for myself and how I felt and understood why I felt that way, not because somebody told me it's wrong, but to tell me that that's who I am and I can work through it myself.
Just a little up. Okay. Not right here.
There. Okay. Now I'm on this thing. Okay. Yeah, I totally agree. And honestly, radical responsibility is something that I really barely found like this year. And at first it was like, I went through and I'm like, okay, I have to take responsibility for every single part of every single thing I did. And then it was really stepping back and realizing that radical responsibility isn't taking responsibility for everything that happened in your life, but it's taking responsibility for your part in it. Mm-hmm. And that was really a game changer for me, because I felt like when I first heard about it, it's like, okay, this happened and this was my fault and this was my fault and this was my fault. And then it was really like, no, it's not all your fault, but you do have a part in it. And it's like, if I wouldn't have done this, then this wouldn't have happened. But it was just like really learning, like you said, like radical responsibility and the meaning behind it. And like when you first hear it, it's like, okay, like I can do that. I can write everything that happened, but then realizing it's just your part in it. And it's really a game changer.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think we can each step it up, no matter where we are, no matter kind of what our life looks like. If everything's going perfect, we can always take more responsibility. We can always lead ourselves in a way that's going to enhance and expand our lives. I absolutely love that. So Jenni, tell me a little bit, how do you approach the unknown and learn to embrace risk?
It's funny because I feel like my life is currently the unknown. So I will tell you what I'm doing right now. Like I have all of these different things going, but I feel like I'm going through like a huge expansion. And I honestly am just embracing the unknown. I am being okay with where I'm at. Like as long as I am having fun and I'm feeling good, knowing that I'm on the right path and having that trust in the universe that I'm being taken care of, and that if something doesn't feel good, if something doesn't feel right, like being okay with stepping back and being like, I don't have to do that because I said, there's a difference between not doing something because you're scared of doing it and not doing something because it no longer feels aligned or no longer feels right. And so I'm really going through I feel like it's like stripping down like all of the layers and figuring out who I am, what feels right, and just being okay with not knowing where I'm going, but knowing that I trust the universe, that I'm being guided, and that the next right step is coming.
I love that. Trust that you're on the right path, and you're absolutely incredible. Your work is amazing. And I always kind of, and I hope you don't take offense to it, but I always kind of see you as an earth angel. I see you shine so brightly. And I just absolutely love how the resistance that can come up in us a lot of the time is, a lot of it was, for me, was control. I needed to know where everything was coming from, where what everything was going on. I had to be so structured, and learning to allow to create my kind of own structure. I struggled, and I still do sometimes, especially with the changes that have been happening, like you mentioned at the start with COVID. And now, well, in the next couple of weeks, we've got work going back to and different things. So there's lots of things changing all the time around it. And I just, what I do this, I start going off on a little ramble and I forget I had a question at the end of it for you. And it's completely gone. This is how natural it goes, isn't it? Where was I going with that? Could you pick up on that? No.
With the unknown, that we're, just being okay with going into the unknown.
That was it. Absolutely. And I was saying just how much I love how you teach that, and how you're an example of it. So this series as well, a lot of the interviews we've been talking about where people felt they were and where they are going. And every single person has said it's all been on the belief. And everything that we're talking about now about the unknown, we still take the steps, even though, and I love how you were so authentic and just said, well, I'm just getting comfortable with seeing where it goes, being happy, living life. And that's truly the magic in it, by creating it ourselves, but making sure that we're happy. That was the point I was trying to get to.
Yes. And then, so I had a call with Kate Decker, who she's speaking later in the series, but yesterday, and I was like, I have this, like, I feel like I should be doing stuff, but it doesn't feel right, so I'm not. And she said this, and it was literally like the first sentence of our call, and I was like, okay, I'm good, like I don't need it anymore. Like, and she was like, if it's a should, like, and how did she say? She said when she was first learning English, she said something like should kind of reminded her of shit. And that's how I feel like it is. Like, if you feel like you should be doing something, but it doesn't feel right, like, don't do it. Like, don't do stuff because you feel like that's what you're expected to do. Do stuff because it feels good. It comes from desire. It comes from fun. And that's really what I'm learning. I'm stripping back the, I should be doing this, and this is who I should be, and this is all of that. And it's like, if I hear myself say that word, I take a step back and I'm like, okay, but is this what I want to be doing? Is this what I desire? Does this sound fun to me? And then I'm just going from there and figuring it out. Like, this gets to be fun, and it gets to be easy. And if it's a should, but you don't want to, then don't do it.
Yeah, that is some golden nuggets for everybody that's watching. I'm just going to check in as well and just check, because what I was doing is I hadn't had my phone with me, so we've had a few comments come up, and I still need to get used to the delay on this, like we said at the beginning. So we've got Bernadette with us. So hi Bernadette, thanks for hopping on. And my phone's crashed and it won't let me see any other comments. I could see notifications coming up. So what values are you committed to?
What values am I committed to? Honestly, being honest, and not just like being honest in the way of like speaking the truth, but being honest with yourself, with what I want, being in integrity, doing what I say I'm going to do, as long as it feels good, and knowing that if you say you're going to do, like, it's hard because integrity is so important to me. And I think it really is learning to say no with something that doesn't align at the beginning, so you're not put in a position to not wanting to do something. And so it's really just learning those boundaries, learning who you are, and I'm pretty good at this about saying no, but it's really learning even more, because I feel like with certain things, it's the should. Like, it's not that I'm saying yes because I should. And so it's really just going back to, being honest, being in integrity with yourself, and just being kind. Like those are, I honestly, I think the most important things, like being a kind, good person and being nice and not ever doing something intentionally to hurt somebody.
I just love your heart so much. You really do shine through. And imagine what the world would be like if everybody took the time to intentionally be kind to people. It would be
Yeah.
such a different world. And I absolutely, like I've said, I love the work that you do, and I love the energy that comes off from you, and everything that you've spoke about. And, over the last half an hour is all been from the heart and all been from having fun and having joy. And it fits in perfectly with everything that we've been saying, because life is here to be enjoyed. A lot of our interviews have been around business and around stepping into your power, but there is nothing more powerful than taking a step into the power of who you are and leaning back. And like you say, them shoulds, and I'm still guilty of it. There's many times where I should be doing something, and a lot of mine comes from the mum side of me, and it's like I should be doing this when it comes to, say, like an example, say like dinner time. It's 12 o'clock, therefore it should be dinner time. And I sometimes I don't give myself space to go, well, they're not starving, we can give them 10 minutes. And I used to really kind of structure myself like that, and everything that you said I can relate to, because I'm also taking them steps back to kind of lean back and enjoy in the same way. But then also what I've found is the more that I actually do that, I get these bursts of energy, of bursts of like inspiration, and I can just plow and get so much work done. And then I kind of lean back again, and it's all about the fun. And I'm really starting to notice and enjoy the kind of the ride that I experience. That's just how I kind of, I feel it and see it. I don't know about you. How does it seem for you?
Honestly, absolutely the same. It really is like you can have the hustle and the lean back. And I think, I'm a projector is my human design. And so learning, for so long, I've been so much in my masculine energy. And I don't think I realized that until I started working with Kate, because it was like all about like, I felt like I had to do this and I had to be in control of all of that. And I really like, there's like a type A personality. I'm like a type C plus. Like I'm not a, I don't have like, I feel like I don't have the control thing, but when it came to certain things, like I did. And so I'm really just like letting go and like being okay with everything. And like, I literally have had so many people like, what are you doing? Like, you're losing weight. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just being happy. Like, I'm not doing anything different other than like letting the pressure go of what everybody else is expecting from me and just being who I want to be. And it's just changing the game. And I just got my nose pierced too.
Ooh, congratulations.
Being a little rebel.
Why not? Why not?
Exactly. It's like we get to be who we want to be. We get to do who we want to, we get to do what we want to do. And it's just figuring that out. And I think there's a lot of fun and magic in that when you step back and let yourself enjoy the process.
Absolutely. And you really are touching on the verge of everything just on that subject alone, because it's what life is all about. If we take out the business side of it and we just look at life as a whole, business for most people should be an extension of their life. It's the passion, it's their soul. And if we just take it back to, just as a life and just really enjoying, that's the message I'm picking up from you. Have fun, enjoy, keep yourself excited. I know you celebrate so much, and I love your celebration dances and the way that you really do tap into that energy. And it feels so magical. It really does feel so magical. And I love how you brought it more to life in general, so it can reach more people as well that don't, it's not necessarily focused on the business. And it's all about just knowing ourselves and not being them people that we expect ourselves to be. Like you said, there's so many different personalities of myself, where somebody has suggested or expected me to be a certain way, and I molded myself into that person. So you just mentioned you were a projector, and I don't know too much about projectors yet. I don't know too much about human design. I would love to, but for me, I'd have to get really stuck into it. So I'm going to see where that takes me. But for me, I'm a manifester, and that can sometimes come with, I have quite strong energy, and I can sometimes kind of repel people away from me because I can be too full on. And that's very much when I'm in my masculine energy. I'm very much do, action orientated. And I kind of, since I've learned that information, I've seen how I've done it throughout my life with the kids, with my, with my parents, with my partner, and just the little bit of information that you give up there, leaning back and coming into that place of, relaxation and kind of being centered and happy with where we are, really gets us back into that place of where we can move forward. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think like if there's one thing, I could say that like really has been the game changer, and I was talking to my best friend about it yesterday, and it's like learning to love yourself, like in learning who you are. Like, I feel like I didn't know who I was. And so I'm really stepping back and like figuring out, who is Jenni? Like, what are her beliefs? Like, not the limiting beliefs that she's had, but like, what are her beliefs? And just like being okay with that and loving yourself through it all. And like mirror work has been very powerful for me. Because, even after having Hunter, like I love myself, my body, everything 1,000 times better than when I was 40 pounds lighter. Like, you just get to a point where when you just get to love yourself, that magic really starts to happen.
Yeah, it's that acceptance, isn't it? That's really, really powerful, because I also, I know, or I feel where you're coming from. I've had a similar kind of experiences all the way through. And especially with the way that we look and how we kind of perceive ourselves, because of who we believe, and you've already touched on it, who we believe we should be. In order to be a healthy person, we must be, I really don't like giving sizes, ranges, or anything like that, because for me it's another label, it's another way how we can separate ourselves, how we can judge. And as humans, our automatic instinct is to kind of judge and compare ourselves, and the instant we do that, we separate. And that actually comes internally. And what you're saying there is, and this is why I started the Happiness Impact, why I started building the business, because it was all about, as we take back that control and we start really learning this, we trust ourselves on a level that is, nobody can take it away from us. I had no trust in myself. I had no belief. And then the more I tapped into this and the more I learned about it, the more everything kind of changed it, and I could make them decisions for myself.
Yeah. And exactly what you said, like when we're in that judging energy, like I used to judge people so much, and it was my own insecurities and the things that I didn't like about myself that I judged in other people. And a thing that really started helping me was when I would catch myself judging someone, I would replace it with a compliment. And like, being in personal development and being on this journey for a long time, like we're still not perfect. Like we're still learning, and I still walk into a store and have a judgment of somebody. And you just learn little tricks to keep your energy high and to replace it, because I don't want to be that judgmental person. But it's so ingrained into us and into society that we get to be the ones that change that. And it does, take a little bit of effort, but once you learn the tools to be able to do that, it makes all the difference.
Absolutely. I love that. I do. So how do you keep your feelings let me start that again. How do you keep your feelings from clouding your next steps? So we've touched upon, obviously, the limiting beliefs that have come up, and you just briefly touched on the tools. So how do you manage it when that comes up for you?
I think this is such a powerful question, because feelings played a huge part in my unhappiness, because I let my feelings take over. And when I would feel something, I never stepped back. I literally was so in those emotions. And it's, the saying, like, when emotions are high, intelligence is low. That was me. Like, I would get so upset and take stuff so personally. And it was like, they didn't even mean it like that. So I really just started stepping back, and I can feel myself when I get triggered, and it's like in my stomach, kind of like a little gut punch. And then it's like, okay, but did they mean it? Is that what they meant, or is that how I took it? And I got this from Kate also, which I think she got it from Melanie, which was, is this provable in a court of law? Like, can you prove that this person meant this when they said it? And it's like, no. And being able to take control of my emotions, it honestly has been such a game changer in my life, in my marriage, in my work, everything. Like, once you get to, and it's the same with all of it, like, once you get to be the one in control of your happiness, the one in control of your emotions, it literally goes back to that. You get to be in control of your happiness because you're not letting outside things impact your emotions. And once you're the one in control, you get to keep your alignment higher, you get to manifest easier, and then you just get to have this dream life because you realize that what other people say and what other people do, it doesn't affect you. And you get to decide what other people say. Like, I used to, if somebody said something like that was negative, it like would like be days of me being devastated. And now if somebody says something, I'm like, it doesn't even affect it, because you're so secure in yourself and your, everything, that other people's opinions, they don't have the weight. And I'm not saying that like I've never got my feelings hurt, but there's just so much power being in control of your feelings. And honestly, I think the thing that really helped me the most is just realizing when you have a trigger and start asking yourself questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's definitely the way that I go through it as well. And the power behind it that comes in, and especially the one where you said, can you bring this to a court of law? 99% of the time, it's not true. What we're telling ourselves, the reason why we can't do something, or why something's so bad, or why somebody doesn't like us, or that we're unlovable, not enough, none of that is true. None of it is true. And I remember as well, and I think it was Melanie and Leah that said it on one of her pictures. So if anybody's watching this and not quite sure, Melanie and Leah is go and check her out. Go and check her out. She is absolutely incredible, and your world will change. That's probably the best thing I can say right now. So when we were all born as a baby. So kind of look at your little one. If you've got children, or if you know of a newborn baby, imagine that baby now. Would you ever look at that child and say they are unworthy, they're not enough, they're not going to make anything in this world, there's no point because they can't do anything? Would you ever do that? Absolutely not. You don't even need to answer, I'll answer it for you. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the thing is we're still that baby. We never changed. We are still that baby. And even though we've had so many people tell us that whatever we've believed to be true, we are still worthy. That worth never got took away from us. The only thing that got in the way is other people's opinions and other people's or news stories, the stories and the narrative that we tell ourselves. And it is so powerful. Even just that shift by asking ourselves, is this true? Can save our relationships, can save our time, can save our energy, can save our jobs, can save absolutely everything. And it's really interesting. I've got a program coming, Reactive Reversal, and it is all about this work and how not to react and we respond instead. And it has absolutely changed my relationship by what I've learned from taking these steps without having that constant kind of, I want to be right, and that kind of fighting, like who's to blame, so to speak. And that's not the right terminology, but I used to get myself, if somebody hurt me, I'd be trying to hurt them back, and it wouldn't necessarily be anything meaningful. It was just more about what they said. And then what I found, it got me into a spiral of, the spiral is about what you said next and what they said and then what I said. It absolutely killed me emotionally, because whatever started it in the first place just got absolutely sidestepped to this absolute, just pain and like crying and upset and everything. Had I known the information I know now, I'd have been able to take that step back and say, okay, let's not react, respond. How are we going to do that? And now I walk myself through certain things, and I just think the amount of friendships I possibly could have saved. I do believe everything happens for a reason and we all learn, but there's many times where I think back and think, that was definitely me. Yeah, there were certain areas, and I'm human and I care so much. And anybody who I have hurt or unintentionally hurt, I think about that. And you kind of brought that in this morning. That's how my day's been. You actually brought it in before as well, didn't you, when you said about not taking it personally, about really knowing who we are, so that kind of layer of ourselves of who we should be no longer exists, or we can no longer get shaken by it. Yeah,
definitely. And then exactly what you said with that taking the personal responsibility. So it's like whenever you have those emotions and you're in the emotions, but then like when you step back, you see exactly what you said, like how much of it was you. And there's so much power in it. Like at first, when you start going through this, it's kind of triggering because you just start to see a lot of your flaws. And then it's empowering. It's like you get triggered and then you get empowered. And I love that.
Yeah, definitely. And there was a time as well when do you remember, I might ask this, a bit of a personal question. So when you first went into kind of the law of attraction, or you mentioned that you read The Secret. So when you started doing the self-development work, when you first realized that you had a negative outlook, or you were looking not in the most successful way, how did that feel to you? Because for me, that hit me like a brick wall. I honestly didn't think I was as negative as what I was back then before I started. And when I first learned, I was like, oh, who am I?
Yeah, like this whole journey, like you go through a lot of like, who am I? What? And it's like the next layer. But even I love social media because you get to look back on your posts from like 10 years ago and you're like, I said that, like it was like and there's words that like I do not say, like even if I do not have the funds to pay for something, I will never say I'm broke. I will never say I'm unhappy. There's just like certain things you get to where you're like, if there's an I am in front of it, there's so much power. And so when you realize that those words carry all of that power, you quit saying things and you realize how many of those things that you did before. And it's like, yeah, I literally created my reality. I said I was broke and then I was broke. And then I said I had terrible friendships and I had terrible friendships. And once you change your own narrative, it really changes your life. Like it's just starting with little things and changing the way you speak to yourself.
Absolutely. And I've spoke about it quite a few times. And for me, when I first started this journey, my narrative used to be so degrading to myself that, when we kind of go around, if you had a friend with you who was constantly telling you weren't good enough, or telling you that you're not enough, or they want something from you, and constantly, if you had that friend, guaranteed you wouldn't be able to spend much time with that friend after you realized just how much they needed from you, or how nasty they were to you. But yet every single one of us have this voice in our head that keeps us in that place. We are our own worst enemy. We are our biggest limit, and it comes from the mind. But one of the biggest things for me as well was to learn that our mind wasn't what carried us. I used to think that what I thought was who I was. And part on this journey, when I realized that that's part of who we are, and there's so much more to us, and we can actually create that distance from the thoughts and start changing things through that way, that was really, really powerful for me. Is that how you've had? I'm really curious because our journeys are quite similar, and I'm really curious to how you felt. How did it kind of, how did that come about in your life?
Absolutely. I always think our journeys are so similar. And the more we talk, like the more there's so many similarities. But can you repeat the question part again? Because I think I kind of got lost in the words.
I don't think there was a question. I think that it was more me asking. It's me not being clear. And you know what it is? I'm just going to be completely honest. It's been one of them, and I explained to you before we come on, it's been one of them days where, because these interviews are in the afternoon, I flip my day around. So I've got the homeschooling in the morning, and then today we've been out to get Jackson a few clothes. And when the day is kind of just gone, and I feel like as you're talking to me, that my mind's kind of asking you questions, and I'm really sorry if it's coming across that way. What I was trying to ask really is, when I asked the question about when you first realized about the negativity, and who you were as a person, how did you kind of overcome it? How did you navigate through that? Because there's a lot of people in my world who are just embarking on this journey who hit that resistance, and that resistance comes up when they first start looking at the beliefs, or when they first get the memory that they don't want to get, and they freeze and switch off and stop. And it took me a while to keep on moving through that. Did you experience that kind of like plateau? Is that the right word? Where we kind of went?
Well, for me, I would say, like, the terminology like toxic positivity, like that's how I feel like I was for a while. Like I felt like I had to be positive about everything. And so like in my life, like in my work and on social media, I was positive, and then I was kind of crap at home. And like Casey was like, okay, like you're like doing all of this. He's like, but you kind of need to like figure that out. And it was like, I wasn't letting myself feel any of the feelings. Like part of being a positive person and like being an inspiring person is not being perfect and not feeling great all the time. It's learning that it has ups and downs, and that your feelings have ups and downs, and that you can have a bad day, you can have a bad week, you can have off, but it's giving yourself the grace to be okay with it. And that really made such a difference for me, because like I said, I felt like I was like toxic positive. It was like, you have to be happy and we can do this and da 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 da, and it's just all happy. And then I wasn't. Like I was positive, but I wasn't happy. And it was because I wasn't allowing myself to feel the feelings. And I think that a really important part of this journey is knowing that it has ups and downs, and it's okay to be happy, and it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to cry, and it's okay to be angry, but knowing like ways to get that energy moving. Like if you're angry, to do a workout. If you're, punch a pillow, do something, but move that energy, because we're energetic beings. And when we just sit with that energy inside us, it really becomes toxic. Like you have to get it out. Like it's okay to have the feelings. It's okay to sit with them for a day. Like you don't have to sit there and be like, okay, get out, go away. Like feel your feelings. Feeling your feelings is really a way of releasing them, but also just knowing like a couple little tools of being able to move past them, and knowing that you can be sad, and like you can be sad because the world is going through all of this stuff, and you can still be happy and sad at the same time. Like I think it's just realizing that you don't have to be one thing, and you get to step out of the boxes, and you can be a happy person that's sad about what's going on in the world, and that you can be a positive person and have a negative day or a negative thought, and it's okay to be all of it.
It's okay to be human. I love that.
Exactly. It's like we get to be human, and we put ourselves on these pedestals that it's like we have to be perfect, and we don't get to be human, and we're freaking human. Like we have feelings, and we need to learn to accept that. And when you learn to embrace your feelings, that it really does make such a difference.
I love that. I do. And again, another part of your story that was quite close to mine. I remember when I first started looking into the concept of the law of attraction. And for me, I definitely went down the be positive all the time. And anything, I did not allow myself any negative thought or anything that come to me that give me an off feeling. I used to shut it down. And I didn't actually realize that that's what I was doing until a couple of years ago, when I started experiencing the meditation and the moving of the energy, like you say. Is that me repeating? And I just it's just reminded me as well, though, when I used to do it, and it's so obvious. It is so obvious when somebody is just kind of putting out positivity or just talking positivity, because our bodies don't flow with it. Yeah. And I just, from that stage, for me, it took me, my point for this is, it took me a good few months. I was kind of in that space for a good few months of where I thought I was not allowed to feel negative. If I felt negative, something bad was going to happen. If I thought in a negative way, that means that there's something wrong with me and I'm going backwards and I'm going to end up being back where I was. And it was all kind of fear-based. And what you've just, obviously, you've shared with us to say there is, take on the emotion, accept who we are, have compassion for ourselves while we're going through this journey, and really tap into, it's safe to feel human. It's safe to not be perfect. If anybody was watching these interviews, you know that I am certainly not perfect. When the interviews first come on, I'm still a little bit jittery because of the 30-second delay. I'm learning, it's technology, but it doesn't stop me showing up. It doesn't stop me learning, and it keeps us moving forward. We have to, and I'm going slightly off here, but it's, if we don't move forward, and one of the things in my mind is, if we're not failing, we'll never succeed. So if we don't keep moving forward, we're going to end up staying in the same place. And my point from that is, anybody who's watching this, there is so many golden nuggets within it, so many tips and tools that can really help in an instant change just by changing our perspective. Please do start today and know it's okay. Know it is okay, and that you will go through the motions and get through the other side. And I'm speaking mainly to those who have tried this and possibly gone, it's not for me, or who have hit that wall of resistance, because I hit that wall of resistance many times, and I still do, depending on where I'm heading and what's coming up for me. It's about how we navigate through that. And Jenni, I just feel that you have shared so beautifully, and you just radiate what that is all about. I absolutely love you so much. I really do. And I cannot wait to see what is going to come over the next few months with everything that you're doing. It is so, so exciting. Just before we go, what advice would you give to yourself, your younger self, who is just beginning the journey?
I love this question because, and I know we've both, we've been through a lot of crap. There's been a lot of good, but there's been a lot of hard, and taking that radical responsibility and learning how much of my part of the crap was. But the thing I think I would tell my younger self is just keep going and love yourself sooner, because I really think that learning to love myself has been the biggest game changer. Obviously I'm not stopping, and I never stopped before. But once you really just get to learn to love yourself, that it just makes everything better, because you get to be happy with who you are.
It's incredible, isn't it? The shift that changes when you focus within and you really take that as an intention to lead yourself, change your life, but by knowing who you are first. It's so, so powerful. So I am going to let you carry on with the rest of your day. It's quite early-ish morning, or is it dinner time for you now?
No, it's 11 a.m.
11 a.m. for you. So it's evening for us here. So I hope you have the most amazing day. This has been truly, truly brilliant. I can't wait to go back over it. I think there's going to be a few cringe moments where I've really lost my train of thought. So anybody that's been following this along, I do apologize. We are only human, and this is what makes it fun, what makes it exciting.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Yeah. It's been so amazing, so much fun, and you're so awesome. Thank you for hosting this and having me. I love you so much.
I love you too. Go and have the best day, and thank you to everybody who has been watching. I will come off now and I'll come and jump on the comments and say hi to everybody. And please don't forget also, Jenni, will you put or I'll put your links below. If anybody wants to get in contact with Jenni, come and reach out. Well, you know, she's amazing. You've just spent the last hour with her. She is incredible. And yeah, and don't forget about the expansive competition. There are still plenty of times to get your entries in. So have the most amazing day. I'll speak to you soon.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.